Now it's Friday the 13th and I'm here in Tullamore at the Harriers Athletic Club, and I'm competing in a 5k race, which is basically roughly in or about 3 mile. And today's training plan, people here laughing at me filming, today's training plan was a 3 mile easy. Now a 5k race can be far from 3 mile easy. I want to see, can I better my last 5k time, which was 21:19 I think, in or thereabouts, and that was in Dundalk a couple of months ago. And with the training since, I'd be very, very, very disappointed if that hasn't come down. If you are training for any big race like a marathon, I think it is beneficial to do a couple of races. It gives you, I suppose, it gives you an idea what happens on race day. It helps you practice your pace, maybe slow it down at the start. I find one problem I have is taking off really hard at the start, killing myself, and I'm out of breath before the race ends. I find the last couple of miles very difficult, so I think today I'm going to see, can I slow it down with the interval training we did with Carl Henry the last day around Fitzwilliam Square. He started it off slow and I ended up finishing very fast, which is the complete opposite to what I normally would do. So normally I take off the line really hard, and come the end of it my pace would have gone down to maybe 8.5 minute miles, whereas this time we started off nearly 12.5 minute miles and I was finishing at 6.5 minute miles, and we're finishing after doing 4.5, nearly 5 mile, which is, I thought, wouldn't have been possible. So I think today is going to be a great learning experience for me, and it's going to be a chance to put everything that I've trained for, or everything I've done in training so far, into practice. Hopefully it pays off, and hopefully Friday the 13th won't be unlucky for me. Talk to you after the race. Now folks, I'm just home from the Tullamore Harriers Charleville Castle forest run, 5 kilometres this evening, and it didn't go as well as I thought it would, but still I'm happy enough. I nearly knocked a minute off my time. It was 20, I think the real time would have been about 20:30, and my best time today was 21:19. And why I say 20:30 is, I think the clock time was 20:40. It took me about 10 seconds to get to the start line. It was a gun start, which means that they fire and everybody runs, and if you're 30 seconds away from the start line, that time is added to your time, so basically you just kind of count. And sadly I forgot to stop the Garmin as well. I was watching, and when I got to the finish line, Denise was there, and I just kind of ran over to her and I forgot to hit the stop button. So all in all, it's about 20:30 in or thereabouts. Now this evening was a little bit difficult. What I didn't know about the course was it went through a field. It was about a third of it, a kilometre in, there was it turned left and onto a field, and not only was the field wet and kind of heavy, it was also littered with cow dung, so it was like dodgeball. You could see runners ahead of me jumping left and right, and I was saying, what, it's only when I get out in the field. The guy said the field was going to be dry. It wasn't dry. He didn't mention there was going to be sheep and cattle in it. Now they didn't pose a problem. It was just cow dung. You could see everybody jumping off. I suppose if you buy an expensive pair of racing runners, you don't want to be stepping in that stuff. So I was delighted when it was over. I suppose a few tips for any of you out there that is thinking that it has, like me, I took up running 6 months ago, and I suppose after a while I got kind of alright at it, and not brilliant, but it was just average, and I decided to do a 5k run to test myself. Now a lot of novice runners, that's the first run you will do, and a few bits of advice that I can give you before taking on any 5k run. I suppose one of the most important thing is the night before, get a good night's sleep. Make sure you're in bed early, and I suppose it might be hard because you might be that little bit excited about your race, so you may not sleep. The next thing is, during that week, don't do too much training. Don't build up high miles, or because it will tire you out come the day of the race. You're as well off just to taper off the mileage, even maybe the week before. Just cut it down. The day before, don't do anything at all. Make sure that morning that you have a good breakfast and a good lunch. Don't eat too close to the race. Make sure, maybe 2 hours I recommend. I normally eat 2 hours before a race. I have a good feed 2 hours before a race, so I don't feel heavy then on the start line. Make sure you're well hydrated, plenty of water. If you are going to eat something, make sure something light like a banana. That'll give you energy quick enough. And I suppose the next bit of advice, make sure you get there early. 1 or 2 of them arrived at late, and just bear in mind that there'll be a lot of people ahead of you. There'll be a queue for picking up your race number, if there's t-shirts, or if there's a race pack or instructions or a route map or like that. Just bear in mind there probably will be people ahead of you. The next important thing I think is just before the race to do a good warm-up. People like me, up in the first couple of races I didn't do a warm-up because I thought it was going to tire me out and lead to a poorer race time or a slower race time. That's not the case. You should do maybe 5 to 10 minute light jog before the race, maybe half an hour, 20 minutes beforehand, and during that time if you can, try and speed up to your race pace a couple of times. You know, just give a couple of brisk sprints. And if any of your muscles are anywhere light or anywhere tight, just stretch those out as well. And then I suppose head for the race line, get in line. To be many people ahead of you, don't try, you know, if you're slow, don't go to the front line, because you'll end up maybe getting trampled on by people who are going to do a 15 minute, and, you know, depending how fast you are, slot into the right section. Some people have sections and they have the marks, say sub 15, 15 to 18, maybe 18 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 plus. So just slot where into where the time segment you think you're going to come in. Another thing, and probably something that I didn't do up until recently, and I'm still finding difficult to do, is to pace yourself. Once that whistle goes, or the gun goes, or the start clock goes, don't burst and kill yourself. You know, if you can, the first half of your race should be that little bit slower than the second half of your race. You should, you know, build up your pace and try and finish strong if you can. Don't tear off the line and kill yourself in the first mile and end up, you know, dying for the rest of it. If you can, you know, try and think positive, try and picture the end line and race towards that. Make sure, try and get your breathing right as well. You know, don't be, if you can, breathe in, breathe out. A lot of people are taking big deep breaths and they don't breathe properly, or they neglect to breathe. So if you can, also on race day there'll be adrenaline, so try and use that to your advantage as well. That's pretty much all I can think of. And the last 500 metres, give it absolutely everything you have. There's no point in running across that line with any energy left, because it's no good to you afterwards. Just kind of use it during the race. Best advice I can give you. Okay, thanks for watching.